informative and educational hour with Inspector Rene.
Your concerns matter. Let's discuss how we can collaboratively enhance the safety and well-being of our town.
Police Forum with Inspector Rene, bringing you the information and answers you need. That's every Friday at 10 a.m. on 88.5 Sufre FM. 88.5 Sufre FM, your voice, your life.
Wonderful good morning. Welcome everyone. Welcome once again to Police Forum. A fantastic good morning to all our wonderful guests in Radio Land. The wonderful people of Sufre, welcome to our show once again. It is a fantastic Friday, and as you know, every Friday we join you to educate you and sensitize you on all the exciting stuff in policing work. For some people, police is all about, enforcing the law, arresting people, going to court, charging people. However, there is so much more to policing. And today will be one of those shows where we will come out and let you know that it's not just about, arresting and charging, but also, some of the other things that the police officers are engaged in. Today we have a fantastic guest on our show, and as you have realized, I try every week to have somebody new, a fresh face, who will support and provide valuable information and insight into police activities, police operations, the law, police procedures. Before we start, let me say a fantastic good morning to all my staff at the Super Police Station, a staff of wonderful, energetic, exciting police officers who on a daily basis come in and, leave the comfort of the home to provide safety and security for every single person in and around Sufre. I also want to say good morning to the staff of the Shoulder Police Station. As the inspector of the station, of both stations, I want to big up each and every one, and thank them for the hard work that they do, because their job is one of sacrifice, one where they don't only keep the locals safe, but the guests who come to visit our shores. So let me say good morning to Sergeant Mark, to Corporal Anthony, Miss Peclanet, our immigration officer, and my fantastic cleaner, Mr. Alce, who on a daily basis ensure that my station remains extremely clean, and welcoming to the public. Let me say good morning to the Shoulder Police Station, Sergeant Smith, Corporal Octav, and all the persons at the Shoulder Station who on a daily support the effort, and the objective of the RSLPF. Let me say good morning to the executive of the RSLPF, our commissioner, Mr. Burengard, who has taken up office and has, highlighted his plan to bring about a revolutionary change, in the way the police operate, and to bring that level of civil safety, to each and every person. Let me say good morning to my waterfront crew, the people who we interact with on a daily basis, the staff of the SRDF, Mr. Alfred, aka Father, Mr. St. John, aka Dandy, Mr. Puppy, and Jessica, all those persons who support us on a daily basis. I welcome them and say good morning to you on the show. Let me say a fantastic good morning to the staff of Bank of St. Lucia, Mistress Martina Donnelly, our bank manager, who provides support to the police on a daily basis and who works hand in glove with us. I know next week, Friday, they will be having a grand promotion on the waterfront. So I am advertising on their behalf, where they'll be promoting some of their products to the public. So look out for that next Friday. Superiors, there are some special treats for you. So come out and support the initiative. Let me say good morning to Mistress Gidhari, who has been a strong supporter of the efforts of the Sufre Police Station. So all the other staff of Bankers and Lucia, let me say fantastic good morning. The staff of Mystic Mantos and Mr. Charles, who have been a partner with the Super Police and have supported all our endeavors. And my, Mr. Ryan Riviere, Mr. Michael Gustav, Mr. Dennis at the Waterfront Rubber Zone, those persons who, add some flavor to the waterfront. The Super Taxi Association, Hartman and your crew, Almondry Taxi Association, Junior Jabatis, Captain Kent of Walla, let me say a fantastic good morning and a fantastic good morning to each and everyone in Soufrière. I am your host, Inspector Rene, who will be guiding you on Police Forum today. And today is a very special day for the Super Police, and with us is a very, very special guest. Um, I don't want to take, it's not my show today, it is the show of the guest. Because the police, every time we speak of policing, we speak about the law, we speak about, enforcement, some of the challenges we face, some of the difficulties, and we don't speak of the major accomplishments that our police officers, are engaged in. And I think today is one of those days where, as a police officer, I feel extremely proud to be part of an organization where we have some of the most brilliant persons, and people don't understand that. Gone are the days when police officers was more about broad and not brains, where it was about height, size, and not about your intellectual prowess and how you were able to stand hand in glove with academics and anybody else in the private sector and the public sector. And I'm happy that this is changing. And with me today is a special guest. I don't know if I should introduce him or allow him to introduce himself. I think he is no stranger to Soufrière and he's one of us. So I'll allow him to introduce himself. With me is my guest. Can you introduce yourself? Yes.
Okay. Dr. Motel Felix, Constable 327, attached to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I joined the police force in December 5th, 2005. Shortly after graduating, I was pushed to further my education solely because of the mentality persons had about police officers back in the day. We know the mentality. I don't mention it. So I pushed myself forward to study. So after graduating, I went to Monroe College where I pursued a bachelor's in criminal justice. In 2008, I graduated in 2009. And I immediately enrolled in a master's degree program at the University of Maryland in the US, where I pursued a master's in management, specializing in criminal justice management. I graduated in 2013, and I still, between the time I left, I still, did different courses. And in 2016, I applied and I was successful in a Taiwanese scholarship. I went to Taiwan in August 2016. I had to learn Chinese for 1 year. And after graduating from the Chinese Language Center, I enrolled in the PhD program at the Central Police University in Taiwan. The Central Police University, I refer to it as CPU. It's the highest level of police education in Taiwan. So all police officers in Taiwan have to go through that university. And I was the first foreigner to enroll into that program. So I kind of stood out at the school. In my class there were 8 of us. 4 of them dropped out. 2 of us recently graduated, and there are 2 left. It was an amazing experience, to be honest with you. I mean, there were ups and downs, and the first year was the most difficult because the Chinese I learned did not prepare me for the Chinese I would learn at the university, because the program was taught completely in Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah, and every day I would ask myself, I said, what are you doing here? Every day I would ask myself, what do you come and do here? And then I would answer the question. I said, you came to pursue a PhD. So every day I would reevaluate myself, what I need to do, what I need to change. I would ask myself these questions and answer. And I did it. I also engaged in extracurricular activities at the university. I did all of that more because I wanted to learn more Chinese. So I enrolled in judo. And after learning judo in 4 months, I attended the intercollegiate judo championship. That's all the universities in Taiwan. They would have a yearly judo competition, and I attended, and I got a gold medal. I came first place in the entire Taiwan. I got a black belt in judo within within 4 months.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
But before we delve, so much into Taiwan, let because it's important that the listening public know who is Motel Felix. Take us back to before joining the police force, and who is Motel Felix? Because I think that is important for the young people who are listening, the Suferians who would have followed the same, path as you, coming from just the humble beginnings to who you are today. And I think we need more of that so that our young people can, look up to and say, hey, I want to be like that. And I can't be like him because we have the same start. We start from the same, level. It's not like there were any privileges granted to you. And it was because of your hard work, dedication, and commitment. So take us back to who is Montel? Where was he raised? Who are his parents? What school he attended prior to becoming a police officer? So that you can have an understanding of that. Hey, this is one of us. So tell us about that.
Well, I'm a son of the soil, born and raised in Soufrière. My dad, Mr. Marius Felix, was the principal of the Soufrière Comprehensive Secondary School. Everyone in Soufrière would know him since the 80s. He's also a son of the soil. My mother, Monica Felix, from the Mikud. I attended juvenile kindergarten at the St. Isidore's Hall, and then Soufrière Infant, Soufrière Primary, Soufrière Compre. Then I went to SAFA, where I pursued architectural technology, but I did not graduate. I dropped out. I dropped out of college, and then I joined the RSLPF. I was not, to be honest, I was not. Persons will say, "Oh, your father's a principal. You're supposed to be top 3 or top whatever in the class." I was not one of these students. I was just a normal student. I was like averaging between 15 and 20 in the class. My CXCs, were not all that good. That is a conversation I think I need to have with with students. We tend to judge persons when we don't do well at school per se. I passed, but it wasn't what it was expected to be as the son of a principal.
But not just a principal,
The principal. Yeah.
When Mr. Felix is a lecturer at the
Yeah, man.
secondary, and I remember going to Super Compre, and Mr. Felix would lecture or teach every subject. So if SS teacher was not there, the math teacher
was well-rounded.
He was
Yeah,
a
he was
well-rounded individual. So, like you said, the expectation, I guess, will have.
I think it had also with pressure as well.
Yes.
Persons, there was a lot of pressure on me as the principal son. But one of my biggest motivations, well, one of them was the fact that I did not perform well at secondary school. I was a college dropout. It kind of springboarded me forward, to mend what I broke, And my mother never wanted me to join the police force.
Any reason why?
Because of the mentality persons had about police officers, the stigma, So the mentality was like, police officers were uneducated persons. You understand? So I wanted to make that difference, and that was my main motivation to push myself, to springboard myself forward, to pursue a higher education. And one of the quotes I learned many years ago: the more I learned, the more I realized I need to learn more. And even though I've completed my PhD, as if I want to learn something again. I want to learn more, And my professor was saying one of the main reasons why we continue research, and that my approach to crime prevention is research. We need to advance research, and St. Lucia is lacking in research-based interventions. The government needs to give more start giving grants for professionals to advanced empirical research. That is one of the ways we can have targeted interventions. A problem in St. Lucia, yes, we live in the region. A crime problem in St. Lucia might not necessarily be the same. The same interventions might be different in St. Vincent, for example. So we need to understand the cultural dynamics of our hometown, our country better.
And I agree with you. But just before we go into that, and going back to the point where your mom felt that, or the stigma attached to the police that it's about size and height and not about intellect. One of the things I learned going through the police training academy is that it instilled in you a certain level of discipline. And I think that is important, in every aspect of our policing career. That level of discipline, that one from training, you learn time is important, following instructions are important, being the best that you can be, is important. All that was inculcated in us, although for a very harsh 6 months at training schools. But I think what the police force does and I think just like in the more developed countries where the military, everybody is expected to do some military service, what that does basically is instill in you some level of discipline, some level of, hey, there must be standards in everything that you do. And I think that now gives you even a bigger drive to want to be better, to accomplish. Because a police officer, from training I got, and I get the same training that you got, you have, when you enter a room, you have to put the sharpest, the best, your attire, your grooming, everything must be, at that level. And it was forced upon you. You had to do it every single day for 6 months. And I think that's why agencies like the Cadet and the Scout and the Lions Club and those organizations are so important in people building, because they instill that level of discipline in you, that level of, hey, you have to meet your obligations, you have to do it at the highest level. So I think the police force for me is the ideal foundation to catapult you to be whatever you want to be. And that's why I am proud to be a police officer. I am thankful, and I think you could say the same, that you are proud to have stood,
Absolutely.
to be a police officer. But back to what you said. Prior to me coming to Sofra, I was responsible for the crime management aspect of the police force, or the unit where we got crime analysis. The biggest challenge we faced was data. Getting access to data to drive your policing strategy, to drive your interventions. And like you said, and you will explain it a little more, you said no crime is the same, even though the offense is the same. The
root causes may be different.
So the approach must be different, and only with the proper data you can understand. So, for example, a policing strategy in Sufre may not be the same or the ideal strategy for Mikud, because Sufre is a touristic town where there's a lot of combos, a lot of that kind. So your policing have to be tailored to one, dealing with the service must be tailored with dealing with national stories, right? And the hoteliers. Whereas in Mikud, you have more fishermen, farming. That intervention is different. So you need to have the data to drive that, and you know what you could, as a manager, a police manager, knowing and understanding who are your customers, right? Who are your customers? What type of intervention? And I mean, like I said, data is important in developing a strategy, because it can never be a one-size-fits-all kind of approach to policing in this country. So let's learn more about your rights, so that it is at the highest
Standards.
level. Yes. So tell us, how does that pressure on you as an individual and how you believe it could help catapult the organization, police strategy, or solution overall, our safety and security.
I'm still getting used to the whole PhD thing. I'm still getting used to it. Like I said earlier, I want to my expertise is research based. And one of the things I like about Taiwan is that they push all the research before you implement policy. You do research. Like let's say a typical example. If you want to tailor policing, there's a research called citizen perception of police officers. We carry out a research, a survey, random survey, maybe online, and see what the citizens have to say about police officers. Why do we need to do that? How, then after, like they say, let the science talk, let the data talk to us. So, of course, we know, and it's no joke. There is a bad perception of police officers in St. Lucia. Yes, so we carry the survey, let the citizens tell us what they expect of the police officers. Then we change the policy, the way the way we operate in the police force. You understand? Then we change the curriculum at police academy and many other things. And then I always tell people, let us rebrand the police force. It's not a force because we provide a service to the community. St. Lucia Policing Service, for example, change the way we approach citizens.
Definitely.
You understand?
I agree. And prior to me becoming a police officer, and I think that has been one of the things that drive the way I approach that a lot of police officers don't understand that customer service is an important part of policing,
Simple.
and
Simple.
that the people you interact, whether it's the criminal or the victim, is your customer, and that you must treat them or provide that highest level of professionalism and service when you engage them. So somebody comes to make a report, not because he or she's a victim, that you know you believe you could just treat her how he or she how you want, or not give them that support. And even the criminal that you interact with, you must make him earn your respect by the level of professionalism you show towards him, and make him understand that hey, you will be arrested, you will be charged, the investigation will happen, and you will be convicted. And that is what I think our drive should be. If somebody has violated the law, if someone has engaged in an activity and breached the laws of this country or victimized somebody, he or she must understand that there will be consequences. And it is the primary responsibility, the first level of responsibility falls on us as the police officer to conduct an investigation, conduct an intervention that will guarantee that there is some redress to the victim of that crime. So it is important that we, understand that customer service is at the heart, and like you said, the rebranding of the police force, is something I think is paramount.
Yeah, and I also held talks. Well, during my academic journey, many police officers around the world, apart from rebranding, I believe we need to move away, well, somewhat away from our colonial policing uniform.
Definitely.
And we need to rebrand the police force, change the name, change the uniform, make it more comfortable. We expect police officers to patrol a number of hours per day. Look at the shows. There's drill shows.
Yeah.
You have a tight belt in your waist, and we were taught to be upright and stuff. We need to be comfortable in our uniform. Give police officers better, well, more comfortable shoes, more comfortable attire, tactical attire. Look at the fire service. Look at the fatigues.
Yes.
I mean, we might not necessarily get away from our traditional uniform. I mean, keep it for ceremonial purposes, but give us something more comfortable to wear.
Our day-to-day
You understand?
big
And in return, you will get more you'll get more productivity from the police officers. You understand?
Even at my level, as an inspector, I have no other official uniform apart from this
What is the
khaki.
purpose of this the whistle? You see, we don't need that. How does that? That's
It's like the uniform.
yeah, but we don't need that.
And that was from
Back in the day,
where they were not
Yeah.
technology, they were not really used, and you use a whistle to draw the attention of your colleagues.
Mhm.
But we have kept that. And I was saying, my uniform, I have to just imagine going on a search operation, at 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to fall into that for in that attire, that's my uniform. How can I chase a criminal who's fleeing through some bushes with that? And I agree with you. There need to be this real discussion at the highest level as to how are we going to continue as an organization? How are we going to change the public perception of us as an organization? And I can tell you, I know there was a survey done. Speaking about there was a crime victimization survey, and it spoke about the public perception of the police, and it's there. It's there. The question is, have anybody taken that document, really analyzed it, and and use the information gathered in there to drive the strategies and policies and the approach.
See, that's why I was saying we have to push. We have to advance research.
Yes, we have
Advance
to
research.
and not just advance the research, but also to follow through with the recommendations of the research. Because there are research being done, I can tell you, because we have, just like you, I'm sure you would have prepared a doctoral thesis, doing some research on maybe some area of policing or law enforcement or security in St. Lucia. And you would have got your findings and you would have defended your findings, and that's why you were given the PhD, because the panel accepted your findings. How many persons now would ask you, Mr. Felix, you have written this excellent document. Can you make it available to us so that we now can now look at our policies and strategies and begin to implement, right, some of what your recommendations are? Yes, it's good that you have the PhD, but are they taking the advice of people like you?
That's why offices need to be created for us to focus on research-based interventions.
We have quite a bit of people on the line. Let me just say good morning. Good morning to Jason Allison. Said good morning to you, Dr. Felix. He asked you was good. We have Travis Chico. Good morning, Mr. Chico. Good morning. He said good morning, Dr. Felix and Inspector Rene. We wait in great anticipation to hear from you two brilliant brothers. We have Jason Allison said, Mr. Officer, blessings morning. We have Raphael Kintu Lamontine, who is a former
Ras Kintu.
Yes, in Life Forever, Inspector Rene and Dr. Felix. And he said, congratulations to you. You have Uranus Edgar, said good morning to you. We have Felix and Rose. He said he's watching. Travis Chico's at course 27. So Travis Chico, you're trained to get.
That's our course, yeah, course 27.
Right, we have Mel Jakin, I think, who said 4 months, Mama. Remind me not to papi show you. So we have, so I guess you're talking about the judo series, We have Azariah Francois, who said, good morning. We have Vianney Abraham, proud of you, Doctor. Colleen Field Thomas, with Dr. Felix, good job. Again, I guess she was on your course, I think.
Yeah, she was.
Thomas, yes. We have Flashy, Julian Lancico, Mr. Lancico at the Sugar Police Station. True talk, good morning, Mr. Lancico. We have Thekla Rene, who said good morning. Thekla Rene is my sister. Good morning, Thekla. Raphael Chitula Mountain says calls for talk of an all-inclusive police officers, including men with locks. So, Kintu, do you have intention to come back? I realize. Yeah. So, Fleshy saying, say it again, Doctor. Travis Chico said, Raphael Chitula Mountain. Yeah, man. On my return, I'll be in my dreads. Raphael said, get rid of the whistle for real. Melbert Sylvester, Mr. Felix, you are correct about the uniform. Raphael saying, I hope so. I'm already out, but this type of discrimination must stop. Calix Kakalzabi, good morning, Mr. Zabi, how are you doing? He said, good morning, guys. We have Mr. Michael K. Albert, good morning.
Albert, 444 Albert.
Yes, he said, I'm watching the program. Good job, good morning. We have Flora Alexander.
Auntie Flora, my auntie,
Yes,
my
she's
dad's
the one
sister.
who's found a great job. So we usually we have quite a bit of people who are listening, and I'm happy that we are able to interact with the public and show them and have them experience the police on the different aspect of police officer, the academic, not just when we come and knock on the door, to search their house or to come and arrest their son or daughter for violation, but we are speaking of how we as an organization can improve the service that we provide to the public, how we could, encourage each and every young person to want to become a police officer. And I think that is so very important. You know, back in the days when you were at school and they asked you, what do you want to be? Quite a bit of the children, would say I'm a fireman, a doctor, teacher, police officer. But now I get more, I'll be a doctor, a pilot, a musician, and not enough of I want to be
A
a
police
police
officer.
officer. And I think that is because we haven't marketed ourselves, in the proper way that we should as an organization. We have not, showed the young persons how exciting the life of a police officer can be, because it's a very exciting job. If you are passionate about policing, and I know when you came back, we started on, you told me, Inspector, I will not be in the station sitting. I like being out. I like being on the ground.
I'm a field person.
Yeah, you're a field person. And that is the balance we need as police officers. Because you're an academic with a PhD, but you want to be on the ground. It's not about having a PhD and believing that you're supposed to be in an office.
Yeah, yeah.
That is the balance every police officer must try to pursue. Where, yes, you educate yourself, you keep yourself up to date, abreast with the changes and the evolutions, in criminology.
And you cannot police from the station. You have to get on go on the ground, speak to the public.
The police station is only a building. Nothing
Wow.
happens in there. Everything else happens out there. And one of the core of our police strategy is proactive policing. And the only way you could prevent the crime is if you are there to stop it before it happens. You cannot be in the police station and be waiting for the person to make the report. At that point, you're just responding. And that is not what. By the time somebody is chopped, or somebody is shot, or somebody is robbed,
Or injured.
you are only responding. And even if you arrest somebody, that will not bring that level of comfort to that person compared to if you were there and prevented that robbery before it even happened. And that is the approach we need to try to inculcate in the mind and heart of every police officer, that we have to be out there, we have to be visible, we have to give the criminal that thinking that, hey, I cannot commit a crime and get away with it. And that's why one of the things I hear, and every time I hear it, it upsets me that when a police officer or somebody who represents the police, oh, the police cannot be there, cannot be everywhere all the time. It's true, we cannot be everywhere all the time. But we must create the perception in the minds of the criminal that we are there, we are monitored, we are watching, and if you attempt,
Not just the criminals, the public as well. If the public knows that the police officers are there, because you have what you call, what's the name? The fear of crime.
yes,
So the public knows that the police are always around or passing a particular place. They have the confidence that
yes,
that area is supposed to be crime free because there is always a visible presence of the police officers.
that I
You know,
agree with.
also for the same for the offenders of the law. I'd like to call them criminals, offenders of the law.
We have Glenroy Johnson, SCSS have produced some great men. Welcome on board, Kimroy and Motel. We have Rafael Kintulamantine saying, apart from being on the ground, the police officers must marry the law, making him and the law partners for life. The criminal code, the traffic act, the firearms act, and others must be like the Bible to the police officer, always ready to advise adequately. And it is true. Our job is to enforce the law, and you cannot enforce what you're not knowledgeable about. So it's your duty. And you see, Mr. Felix, Dr. Felix.
I was about to correct you.
I tell, I tell persons or people, I tell police officers, we don't understand the magnitude of the responsibility a police officer is charged with First and foremost, we are one of the few organizations or few persons who are allowed to violate people's constitutional right, the right of freedom to be free. You know, we can enter your property, we could detain your freedom for 72 hours and even further, depending on what the circumstances. Right? The law has empowered us with that. Very few organizations or persons can do that in this country. Right? We are responsible for enforcing almost 90% of legislation in this country. So let's look at how many different pieces of laws, from the criminal code, the traffic act, the constitution,
Domestic Violence
domestic violence
Act.
act, the training on person act, you know, all those pieces of legislation, the pursuit of crime act, the drug act, we are charged with enforcing that. And for us to enforce it, we must be knowledgeable about it. A lawyer who's defending someone has enough time, because we now have arrested somebody and the lawyer has been summoned. The lawyer has enough time to research and to come up with the defense for his or her client. But you, a police officer, right on the scene, within a split second, have to make a determination. Has there been a violation of the law? Which piece of legislation gives you the authority to arrest that individual? Right? What charges can you prefer? Right? So you have to know that, you know, at that point. You know, you can't tell the person, go, I'll come back and confirm and come. No, you stop somebody for a traffic violation, you must know what offense he or she has committed. So it is important that you understand and
It's
read, you know,
just like when an officer is arresting somebody, you have to inform them,
you have to inform.
what am I arresting you for? That's why, officer, what are you arresting me for? And you're supposed to be in a position to inform them,
Of what offenses.
and under what section of law as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it is their right to know.
To know, yes. You know, so it just shows you how important, you know, the job of a police officer is. And I don't think the powers that be understand the amount of pressure that the police officer is placed on.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about the length of time, the period of time we spent at training school?
No, that's totally inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's totally inadequate.
You know how long it takes to become a police officer in Taiwan? 2 years.
2 years. And I have done training with a number of other regional law enforcement agencies. So I've been in Colombia, I've been in Ecuador, I've been in Uruguay, and most of those South American countries, and even North American countries, their police academy is a 2-year program. And then when you graduate, then you graduate not just with a certificate, but you graduate from a bachelor's degree.
Associate's or bachelor's degree.
Associate degree, in policing. And when you live there, you are a well-rounded police officer.
Yeah, the 6 months is inadequate.
And I think so. And that's the problem with St. Lucia. We like to shortcut things because everybody's looking at the cost implication. Everybody wants, you know, fast fixing of problems. But the problem that we face today, and, you know, it's not one that can be fixed overnight. Our crime problem is not something that we fix overnight. We need, and you as an academic would very well know that first, there must be a process of assessing what the situation is on the ground. Then now we need to develop a strategy and a policy on how we will combat the problem that the research have shown. Then now the implementation phase starts, and only after a year or two of fully implementing that you begin to see results. So the crime problem that we have now, we are somewhere between 60 and 62 homicides, I think yesterday we had 2 more. So between 60 and 65, right? And on average, annually, we experience between 65 and 70 homicides. The problem of gun-related crimes will not be solved in 6 months. It will not be solved in 1 year. For us to get tangible results, we have to look at between a 3 and 5 years plan on clear strategy, implementation, and review to say, yes, you know, we are seeing some level of result and change in, you know, how the public respond to crime or level of criminality in our society. So I'm happy that we have people like you who could drive that kind of research needed. So tell us, what is your future plan, you know, having now accomplished, you know, that level of, qualification.
I'm hoping to be subsumed in an area where more research can be done. I want to touch on a quick research I did. It was a secondary school study I did in 2000 and one second 2022. I came down. I surveyed for 5 secondary schools in Saint Lucia. I'm not at liberty to say publicly the schools. I mean, you have to protect it's the rights of the kids. I did that research on delinquency, and one of the questions I asked the kids: do you witness domestic violence in the household? And though the kids who answered yes to that question are the same kids who answered the other questions where they see no problem in committing acts of violence at the school. They see no problem with their peers committing acts of violence. They see no problem with bringing weapons to schools. So you see where the cycle of violence starts, you know? So I am convinced that we need to target the young persons because that is the future generation. We advance more research on the secondary schools and we can find out the root causes of violence. I don't know why. Let's have a passion with delinquency. Now, we have to come back on a show. We have a lot to talk about.
Definitely,
There's
definitely.
a lot to talk about because on that topic of domestic violence, delinquency, I'm also convinced the food we eat also impacts our brain development. You know, um, I'll just go a bit more advanced now. Because look at, for example, the foods we eat, yes, they say it causes diseases. If the foods can cause diseases, obviously it will influence our behavior. Yes, we are adults. Our brains are already fully developed. But with the kids, it because they're still in the developmental stages, the foods, the artificial sweeteners, and the cigarette smoke, the lead from the gasoline, and many other things, it it doesn't make the brain develop properly, and then it predisposes them to antisocial behavior. You know, so crime on the topic of crime, crime is not our business. When I say from a policing perspective, all facets of all fractions of society need to come together. The nurses, the nurses could poor nutrition can also cause delinquent behavior. The nurses also have a part to play. Called the community nurses go to the houses, go to visit the pregnant mothers, and educate them, sensitize them on nutrition. And when I speak of nutrition, not just good food, but other things that could prevent the prefrontal cortex of the kids from developing. You know, so there are many things to discuss. What else? So yeah, we just need to advance research, and I will keep on repeating that we need more research based interventions to move forward.
Definitely. And I'm happy you spoke about, crime not just being the police business. And it is something that I've spoken about. And when you hear the discussion about our national security, as a country, and most times people misinterpret national security for civil security. Civil security is when there's, an upsurge in crime, where citizen security, is factor. But national security is the holistic approach to our security as a nation. And when the US speak of national security, don't just speak about crime and violence. It speaks about its ability to feed its people, its ability to house its people, its ability to create employment, right? And reduce unemployment. All those things now, because civil security is one facet of national security. So, if, for example, natural disaster is a national security threat, because if a hurricane or storm or earthquake destroys St. Lucia and we are unable to import food or produce food, what what it will result into is the increase in civil unrest, which now impacts civil security, right? So if there's unemployment, then there is a higher propensity for burglary and theft and violence and robbery. Medical, healthcare. If a parent cannot provide proper health care or cannot get the money to pay for the health care, he or she may prostitute, get involved in drugs to take care of his or her child, thus resulting in civil and civil insecurity. So there need to be this broad discussion when we talk about crime and make it look like it's only the police. It's never only the police. Every government department, and there must be a national security plan from which every sector of our society takes their cue from and say, how are we going to contribute to the national security of this country, right? What does the health care department have to do? What does customs have to do? What does police have to do?
The schools,
The schools, education,
institutions.
So those are the deep questions that we need to ask as a country to decide how we could get, and all that is driven by research, studies, getting into the hearts and minds of those persons who live it on a daily basis. It's not just about staying in the police station and saying arrest them or send them to Bordelais. One of the things I dislike, when I hear it is we need stiffer penalties for, this and that. I dislike that. And my reason for disliking that is, have we sat down and have a conversation with those young people to understand what is the background? Why are they where they are today? What was the root cause? Because we have a lot of damaged young people, a lot of young women who grew up in environments where they have been abused and they're damaged psychologically.
That's where we go back to the why my passion is delinquency, because we need the studies, and then we focus on the recommendations provided by people like me, then we move forward. Had this person's been studied before, then we understand what happened to them, why are they misbehaving, what is influencing their behavior, what are they experiencing at their homes. And many of these persons came from troubled homes.
Definitely. You see what I see. We and from a governmental perspective, housing is a right. Proper housing is a right of every citizen. But do we create an environment? We encourage the unplanned developments. We encourage it, right? Where we give some plywood and put a structure. Is that the ideal environment for a 5-year-old? Because you put them in an environment where crime thrives, where there's drug trafficking, there is all kinds of things happening there. The parents, yes, you give them some plywood, but how do they feed those children? Those children are hungry, and then some predator provides them with, this $10 or $20, and begin to abuse them from early, and they now lose the self-worth and self-value, right? And now, they now begin to exhibit those attributes and behaviors where they believe that to fight their way through everything, because that is what they have been taught from birth, fight their way to survive. How are we creating that environment for them? And those are the deep questions the politicians need to answer. Do we have a 20-year plan for our society where we want to create proper housing, proper education, proper healthcare, employment? What is the plan? Don't just say jail them. You want a prison of over 500 young men, able-bodied young men, just providing food and shelter for?
The aspect of jailing as well, that's another conversation. Then we have the jail, we have then the courts. The criminal justice system needs to be, we need to revise our entire CJ system. Yes, stiffer penalties. Do we have enough magistrates? Do we have enough courts? Then the prison sector. Do we have enough prison officers? What is the capacity of our prison? Look, we have a Raymond problem. You have persons in Bordelais for over 10 years and they can't get their case. The case has not even been heard yet, Do we have enough probation officers? Do we have enough parole officers? When last you heard somebody has been placed on parole in St. Lucia?
What are the rehabilitation
Exactly.
programs that,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of discussion that needs to be held within the CJ system. No, I mean, not just policing alone. Yes, I mean, we speaking on a policing standpoint, but it's bigger than that. Yeah.
It's bigger than that. Let me just say good morning again to Flora Alexander. She's saying welcome back, Dr. Motel Felix. We have Quincy Fevrier here who say many ideas but not enough action. Quincy Fevrier is also saying understanding the root cause is essential. Of course, I also think stiff deterrents need to be implemented to curb deviant behaviors from the root. We have Kintu Raphael Lamontagne saying we can work on the 6 months, but there is a need for continuous training within all ranks and files of the RSLPF. I think Sensi Nicholas is saying congrats, Dr. Felix.
Thank you, Sensi.
And, well, I can tell you, Dr. Felix, this has been the most, comments we've had on our view since I'm hosting the show.
Oh.
So look like you're really, really catching the attention of.
We have to come back.
Yeah, we have to come back. But
Yeah.
look at the time, Mr. Felix and Dr. Felix is already 11:04. So we have exhausted
Our time.
our time here. But any last words before you leave? Some of what you believe needs to be done, what you look forward to in the not too distant future. One of the things is you have to be back here.
Yeah. That is there. That is. I will be. I had many opportunities to stay in Taiwan. I mean, I could have gotten some top level jobs. Even got an opportunity to be to start off as an assistant professor. But I chose to come back home. I'm passionate about our Sufre and Lucia, and you see, we need more nationals to return home to help advance the country. Not just on an aspect of crime, but many other fields, and we also need more attractive opportunities here as well. So I'm here now. There are things in place. There are many ideas I have, and then probably on the next few shows we will have, we will run it by the public.
I like that. The next few shows is not just one show.
Yeah, we'll just come and have a discussion, and if persons would call in and share their views, and just have a discuss. There's a lot to be done, and I also want to thank you for bringing me on board. When you spoke to me, was it just yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, I said okay, not a problem.
And I want to thank you for that. Because for me, it is important that we are able to interact with the public and to keep this show going. And it's people like you who are going to bring about change. We have to rebuild that confidence in us by the public.
Yeah, and what you said earlier, let the public see that there are police officers who are striving for excellence, especially in the academic field. I remember Travis Chico told me, "Boy, you're an inspiration to other police officers apart from the RSLP, but within the region as well." I think I'm the first constable. Well, not I think. I know I'm the first constable in the RSLPF, apart from Dr. Dr. Silly, who is our ACP. I'm the first constable with a PhD, and I wasn't. I mean, I think I'm just too humble. I didn't even realize that. I just did it. Just I made like they say, I made it look easy. But yeah, man, we will be back and have some more discussions on the topic. Not just crime, but there are many things I want to discuss as well. So we will move forward with them as the time goes by.
Fantastic. Let me thank you for joining us today. I think it was a very interactive, very rewarding show today. I want to thank everyone for the contribution on the live. We're always happy and look forward to your comments. That tells us whether what we are saying makes sense or appeals to you. Because our job here is to meet the needs of the public and just doing the show for doing sake, but to understand what the needs are, what they want change. It's our job to create that level of comfort and confidence in the public. And I preach that every single day that we must do everything within our powers. The job is a challenge, but we must try, because policing is not just a job; it's a vocation. It's something that you dedicate your life to. So let me thank each and everyone for joining us on the live. Let me thank all my officers for the fantastic work that they continue doing. Let me thank the members of the Shrewsbury Police Station, the executive of the police force for supporting our initiative. Again, I employ the member of the public that you too, because I go back to the policing principle that the police is the public and the public is the police, that you too, the members of the public, have a responsibility to contribute to the safety and security of every single one.
On that note, let's take a pin quickly. Was it where I spoke about the suggestion box for the
Yes,
front?
yes.
Okay, so we're going to have a suggestion box at the Super Police Station. You can write a note anonymously, or if you wish to let it know that's you, you can write it and place it there, and it will be reviewed either on a daily or weekly basis, and we will take these suggestions into consideration to move forward with the way we police the community.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And again, we ask you to contact our crime team line 555. If you have any information that you want to share anonymously, you could contact that number. I can guarantee you that somebody will be there to take your call and to respond to your information. Also, there is the crime tip line app that can be downloaded on your Android or iOS device. Go to the store, download that device, and provide your information anonymously so that at the end of the day, you can protect not just some other person, but yourself from being a victim of crime by providing and stopping that criminal before he or she acts. Once again, looking forward to next week, Friday, God's willing, on Police Forum. It has been a fantastic show. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. Good day. We're out. Thank you.